Hello everyone and welcome back to Sendik's Weather channel. Today we are going to be doing our second summer forecast slash update. And firstly, we're going to have a look at the UK Met Office model for the period over the summer, so June, July and August. Before we begin all that, I just want to show something very quickly, which is quite exciting. For some of you anyway, some of you probably won't care. So you might have seen I put a post out about the new community page that we've made called the Send It's Weather Discord. If you do want to join that, and there are a few of you in here, which thank you for joining if you have joined, then thank you very much. And if you are interested, there is a link in the description of this video. It's somewhere you can chat with other members. You can even ask me questions. You know, you can talk to, not that you wanted to ask me any questions, but you can talk to everyone in the server. We've already got a few of you in here, and I'd really appreciate just making a nice little community where we can all chat about the weather. I'll update it. I'm quite new to all of it, but I'll get working on it. Right then, let's start this summer update by taking a look at the summer forecast from the UK Met Office model over the 3-month period over the summer. And let's see what it is showing. So we're going to start by looking at the 500 millibar heights and see what the forecast solar pattern is looking like to be dominant through the summer months of June, July and August. Again, long way off experimental, but I find these videos quite fun to do. And plus they're a mix up from the regular forecast, so why not? So with that 3-month period, high pressure centred just to our east, and we're actually bringing up the very mild and quite warm and quite pleasant southerly or southeasterly wind from Spain. However, with that, got a trough of low pressure, which is quite hard to see, but a weak trough probably of low pressure towards Greenland and Iceland, and that could mean it could be quite a volatile month with thundery spells, so that might please some people like Lowly Thunderstorm Man, who quite like those thundery spells. And warm, it does look quite warm. If we have a look at the 2-metre temperatures, you can see we are in those, well, red colours, 1 to 1.5 degrees above average. In fact, much of the world is above average, besides in parts of Africa, Brazil, for example, western like Chile, in South America, but much of the northern hemisphere is above average. But yeah, that's just something I thought we'd show off today. And we'll move on to the next feature. Well, next we'll move on to the CFS V2 to see what that is showing over the next couple of months. So we're going to skip straight to June and we're going to see what it's showing. We did this last time, but I wanted to show it again. And we'll go through it quite quick because I've got some other things I'd like to show you today. But anyway, we'll start on the 1st of June. We've got low pressure out to our west, and with that we're bringing in the wind from a southerly or southwesterly direction, so a pretty mild start. Not too bad, not ridiculously warm or anything, not a heat wave, but actually I will say that this looks very similar to that UK Met Office run we've just looked at before. Oopsie daisies. With low pressures towards Greenland, or just to the south of Greenland, we're bringing the wind from a west or southwesterly direction, and it's not too bad. Actually, this pattern looks not too bad, to be honest. The low pressure does bring in wet and windy spells to the north at times through that first week. It doesn't look too bad. Then the trough gets stuck to our north, but it is bringing up southerly or southwesterly winds, bringing up those 10-degree ice firms, so not too bad. Temperatures probably in the 20s, or in and around the 20s, but it does look quite unsettled further north. Eventually, though, this is quite an interesting pattern if this came off. A strong area of high pressure builds over the top of the country, and that doesn't look too bad at all, to be honest. You can see there's warmer air masses around. They're not ridiculously warm. The 10-degree ice firms into the country. The 15-degree ice firms gracing the far south. But you can see, just as we get that, low pressure is trying to break through from off the Atlantic. This could actually bring a risk of thundery weather, because we've got some relatively warm air masses in place. They might bring some thunderstorms. Looks very unsettled further north, though. I must say, it looks quite a dismal summer further north with this run. Into July now, so June doesn't look too bad. I mean, it looks probably above average, but further north again, it could be a little bit more unsettled and cooler as well. If we're going to July then, you can see that low pressure does break through. Areas of low pressure do break through. This looks quite unsettled, but again, there's a signal here. Sorry, with low pressure sitting out to our west, bringing in the wind from a southerly or southwesterly direction, keeping it relatively mild, but again, could be quite unsettled or stormy or thundery in that western area, in that western region, with low pressures trying to rattle in. Eventually, though, we do get some heights building towards France, and we do bring up a mild, or very mild, southerly wind. We almost get the 50-degree ice firm into the country, the 20-degree ice firms in Spain, but we are pretty mild at this point. might just graze the southeast with that 15-degree ice firm there as well. So there are like milder interludes, quite warm interludes, but nothing ridiculous. Again, into the end of July, a ridge does build through the country, and that looks to bring back relatively mild temperatures again. This doesn't look ridiculously cool or warm. It looks quite unbiased, really, but it could be quite volatile again. Like we saw in the first update, it could be quite a volatile month if the CFS is to be believed. There, by the 6th of August, we do finally get the 15-degree ice firm to the southeast, courtesy of that southerly wind. However, we do see areas of low pressure still pushing in, so it looks quite unsettled further north. I must say, might be an above-average rainfall month further north if this is correct. But again, it's experimental. How much do you believe it? We do get cooler and changeable air masses at times with winds in from off the Atlantic, but it does look pretty mild, I must say. Well, not pretty mild, but mild enough. That 10-degree ice firm sticking around the country for a lot of time is pretty interesting. Again, we get the 15-degree ice firm into the final week of August, courtesy of another southerly southwesterly wind. So this doesn't look bad at all. It looks quite dry further south, obviously cooler and wetter further north. But, not too bad. In September, that's as far as we'll go, and it still looks quite changeable further north. But further south, it's probably pretty nice. What I'd say about this run then, to summarise very quickly, is it looks quite mild further south, obviously a bit more unsettled and probably cooler further north, but further south temperatures probably going to be between 25 and 30 degrees for much of the period. And with those heat plumes from Spain, from Africa at some points of that run, Spain, Portugal, France, Africa, you could see the temperatures get into the mid-30s with some of these heat plumes around the middle of July, if this was correct, to end of July. But, again, it's just one experimental run. It might change. But that's just something I thought would be quite fun to look at. Next, we've got the CFS run, which I've just clicked the wrong one. And I'm going to do that. There you go. And hopefully you can see that good, because that is perfect. If you enjoyed today's summer update, make sure to consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. We've just hit 1,600 subscribers. Thank you all very much for your continued support. So if we have a look, I'm not going to look at April. We're going to go straight to June. You can see this looks quite nice for June. If anyone wants a nice June, the CFS monthly anomalies show high pressure towards Scandinavia. Winds are in from the east. Now, some of you might be like, but send it. In winter, sorry. I can't even say it right. In winter, that brings colder weather, doesn't it? Well, in the summer, it means warmer weather. Or it normally means warmer weather. It can also be quite thunder if you've got low pressure to the west, which we don't. It's towards Greenland, with this weak trough towards Greenland. Again, similar trends from the CFS and the Met Office runs there, I must say. That's bringing the wind in from the east, though, and that means that it'll probably be quite warm, actually. It could be quite warm. July looks even better. So get your plans prepared for July, I guess, if this is correct. However, there is a little caveat to this. Low pressure sat out to our west. High pressure's over into the east of the country. We are bringing the wind from a southerly direction, so warm, maybe even hot at times. Forget the wind in from a proper southerly or southeasterly. Low pressure, though, is going to be bringing in wet weather to the west and the northwest in particular, and that could be bringing in some thunderstorms and quite volatile weather again. August, however, does look quite alright, to be fair. High pressure's over the top of the country, bridging through west of you. It might not be ridiculously hot, but again, the wind's in from the east. That's pretty good, I must say. And then September, well, we don't care. But it looks more unsettled with low pressure in from off the Atlantic. October, high pressure's blocking to the north and through the west of Europe. That's probably going to be quite mild. November looks blocked and probably cold. And December also looks pretty cold and even wintry there, but that's we're not looking at that today. That's miles away. But that would be a cold pattern if it was to come off. You watch. We'll get northerlies in June or something like that. Well, we'll have to wait and see. But that's just a few features, and we're not done yet. I'm back with some more. So here's something I've not done ever before. I've got the CanSips model here as well. This is a monthly run model. And we're going to have a look at what this is showing from tropicaltidbits.com. Just a website I'm not familiar with, but I thought I'd use it today. So if we have a look, this is for April. If we go to June, you can see this as a... all the models have a very similar theme, I must say. Low pressure with this is out to our west, and it's ridging... Well, it's through the west of Europe, to be honest. It's quite going far eastwards. This looks quite unsettled. High pressures to our north, bringing in the wind from the east, are pretty mild, but again, could be quite wet and unsettled in the south in more particular there. So there are differences. July, though, does look nice. High pressure, if you can see here, is just up to our north and east. Winds are in from the northeast or east there. You can see it further better at this side. If I just move this chart over here, you can see high pressure is just over towards Scandinavia. Winds are in from the east. Low pressure troughs looks to be to the south and towards Greenland and in the Atlantic. Lots of low pressure around. Looks more low pressure theme than previous years. Not in the last few years. No, it's been terrible for that for this country, but compared to previous years, maybe a little bit better. Worse, I should say. August, however, does look low pressure to our west, high pressures towards Greenland and in the northern hemisphere. Looks quite blocked there. Winds are in from the east, but again, it might not be too bad. Maybe a bit cooler, I guess, further south, but further north looks not too bad at all. Might be a one where it's a summer of two halves, then a backloaded summer, because that August and July don't look too bad, but June looks pretty wet, I must say. Maybe even quite thundery. Again, that is a similar theme. What can we summarise from today's video, though? Well, I hope you enjoyed it, mixing up the different charts. But what I will say is that all of the runs are going for some sort of possibly unsettled signal further west, but quite warm, maybe even hot at times, with that 30 degrees threshold probably being met quite a few times, especially in the latter half of July and August. But what I would say is, of course, it's experimental, but the models are seeming to be in some sort of agreement of some sort of low pressure to our west, which would enhance the risk or enhance the goodness of bringing in a southerly or southeasterly wind, which some of you probably enjoy, wouldn't you? And I probably would as well. Now, there is one more chart I want to bring up, and I'll bring it up for you now. And I don't show this one often, so you're lucky. And finally, Sendit wants to show you the sea surface temperatures at the moment. This is from the University of Maine, the Maine University, as I like to call it. And this is showing the sea surface temperature anomalies right now. So, as you can see, this is the red line here, is the current year, so 2025 here. And these are the two average lines. So the black line, or the black dotted line, is 1991 to 2020, basically the one above, and then the one below is the 1982 to 2010 chart. So you can see that with this red line, we are well above again with the sea surface temperatures. And as you can see, if I wanted to just tell you, these two runs here at the very top end of the scale, way above the rest of the runs, or the years, are the last 2 years, the previous 2 years, so 2024 and 2023, as you can see. But we are looking a little bit lower than them, so I guess that's a positive, but it is well up there. Now, if we follow the current trends of the sea surface temperature anomalies, we would expect them to drop a little bit like this before they will pick up again over the summer. So with this, again, if we do see any wet weather, unsettled weather, it could bring the risk of thunderstorms, because warmer sea surface temperatures bringing up the wind from a southerly or southeasterly does enhance the risk of intense thunderstorms developing, especially going into the later months of the summer, so July in particular, and August, and September sometimes, but more specifically July and August could be very volatile months, particularly in the west. But that's just something I wanted to show you. If you did enjoy today's video and found it informative, for our second update, consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. I really do appreciate your continued support. Join that Discord link below. If you want to support me, you can do through super chats and just subscribing, liking and commenting. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye everyone.